Aloha kako. I'm Nancy McPherson. I'm a planner with the DHHL Planning Office, and I'm supporting our Land Development Division at this meeting. It's really their meeting. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with introductions. So I think we'll start with Robert Ng. He's the project manager for the Olehua Scattered Lots project, and that's the project we're going to talk about first. We have Roy E. Ray here with Way Engineering. We have Olehua, I'm spacing, Kehau from our Land Development Division. We have Mokahi Paole. He's a Paole, so he's also working for land development. Yeah, I'm really bad with names. You might have to introduce yourself. Go ahead. Patrick with Montague Haraga. Carlin is back there with Montague and Haraga. She's signing people in. And you're working on the Olehua Scattered Lots project. So the second part of this meeting is going to be talking about Kalaniana ole, but we're going to start out with Olehua Scattered Lots. And so I'm going to pass this off to Robert, Patrick. Patrick's going to take us away with our PowerPoint presentation. And then we have green sheets for comments and questions. And then once we're through the slides for Olehua Scattered Lots, we're going to have a question and answer period. And then we're going to have a break. I'll show you the agenda. We'll go through the agenda. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so we did introductions, then we're going to do the presentation on Olehua Scattered Lots, Q&A, and then a break. We're going to, if we can get started earlier on Kalaniana ole, we will, but at least by 6:30, and then we'll go through those slides. It's a pretty brief presentation, but I think there's going to be a lot of questions and discussion about that. And then if we finish earlier, then we can go home early. So, okay.
Thanks, Nancy. You hearing all right? It's okay. A little closer. There we go. All right. Hey, thanks for coming, everybody. I know it's been some time since I've been here. You may know my cousins. You may know the Jenkins. You may know one of the girls. There's three of them. But yeah, forever they lived down East End, and I used to come all the time, summer in Palace, and just run around and. Yeah, all the things. So haven't had Moloka hot bread in a minute. So is it still 9 o'clock? Do I still have to wait? They're closed tonight? No, they're open. Okay. Today's Wednesday, Tuesdays. They're closed. Okay. See? Yeah, that's the taste of childhood right there. Strawberry is the best. Hey, we're split in our house. But yeah, that's not what I'm talking about today. Today I want to talk to you about the Olehua Scattered Lots project. Give some more information about where we're at, where we're going. And then give you some time to process it, ask some questions. I'm here, Carlin's here in the back, and we're gonna try to do the best we can. So with that, again, that's why we're here, right? To get word from you, see what you think, questions are, what your comments are, and try to share that information with you. So that's right. What is the project for some of you that may be new? Right, we're trying to. DHHL is looking to subdivide those 5 parcels in the whole Olehua area, right, into 12. And what's the use? Really, the intent is for agricultural use, right, and to improve the land to the point where it's able to lease to you as the beneficiaries, right? See the details there. That's where it is. And really, again, there's that need, right? There's the desire to help. To address that need for agricultural use, right? Subsistence agricultural use for you, the beneficiaries. It's just a map, right? So where are we at? We're along Kapele Avenue. Right? There's a group of lots there. And then along Mo'omomi, as well as Farrington Avenue, right? So closer to the airport, up in the olehua area. Next slide. We go back one to the map, yeah? There you go. I'm sorry?
We
Yeah, we
can,
get you.
yeah, we'll get you handouts and we can also post it to the website.
Yeah, so if you take a picture, we'll make sure we get this posted, right? You can review it later, yeah. All good? Yeah, so again, what's even more detail, what's included, right? We're looking to subdivide the 5 lots into 12. Right, you're gonna have driveway access for each of those lots. Right, that's gonna include other improvements along the street, right? And really to focus on access to the lots, right? What kind of infrastructure improvements are we talking about? Like we're talking about potable water, irrigation water, drainage, electrical, right? Everything that you would need to be able to support a home there. So again, what's there right now? What already exists? Right, so the scope of the project is going to exist the demolition of an abandoned home and a cesspool there on parcel 14, as well as an old greenhouse on parcel 16, and then the assessment of a home that's on both right now, parcel 3 and parcel 16. Again, it's a map of what both of those areas are going to look like once subdivided. And you guys see that in the back, okay? So again, yeah, I see some people taking pictures. Again, this will be posted. You have a chance to look at it in greater detail, yeah.
Okay.
Next slide. So again, we talked about those lots being subdivided. Again, so 7 of those lots will be 3 acres or less. And we're looking at subsistence agriculture, right? Subsistence meaning that you'll be able to live on, and farm those lots on a small scale according to DHHL's general plan. Right, and then 5 of those subdivided lots will be larger than 3 acres. And then that's going to be considered supplemental agriculture, right? So slightly different because you're gonna be able to use that for agricultural production, right? To really support, bring in supplemental income, use it for home use, but there will be an ag plan required for that.
But not for subsistence ag.
Exactly. So what Nancy said is, there won't be an ag plan needed for subsistence agriculture, right? Just to be clear about that. And again, the lots are currently vacant right now, with the exception of those structures that I mentioned before on parcels 3, 14, and 16.
Structures are full.
What's that?
Structures are operating.
Yeah, would you go back, Nancy, to the previous 2 slides? I'll come back to this for you, Dickinson. Because we have that last point there, right? So we're talking about an abandoned home and a cesspool, right? So that's parcel 14. We were talking about an old greenhouse, parcel 16. Yeah, and then the home on parcels 3 and 16 right now. So, but when I said structures, yeah, specifically, that's what we were talking about.
So these were lots from other families that gave it up and gave it back to the department.
Yeah. They are not leased.
Did everybody hear that question? Right. Okay. Slides. Yeah, great. So if you choose to build a home, again, being the beneficiaries, right? An individual wastewater system will be needed. Right. Potable water, those improvements will be constructed if the use of the land is to include a home. Right. So if you choose to build one, those potable water improvements will be constructed. And then agricultural water improvements will also be constructed for farm use and agricultural use. So again, I know there's a lot of text, and I'm trying my best not to read just straight from the slides, but this is really important. And I know that when we were preparing this presentation, we knew that water was going to be a topic that everybody was really going to be passionate about. And so we want to make sure that we're talking and sharing the information you all are looking for, right? So potable water for those 12 lots will be provided from the olehua water system. Again, which is owned and operated by DHHL. And then that's coming directly from the Kualapu'u aquifer, right? And then if new water meters are needed, those will be provided for each lot as well. So again, that's potable water. And then as we're talking about agricultural water, again, that water is coming from a different source. That would be the Moloka irrigation system, which is provided by the State Department of Agriculture, right? Another question came up, right? Is there existing connection? Yes, there is existing connection to the Moloka irrigation system in the roadways fronting those parcels. So specifically, those roadways meaning Mo'omomi Avenue, Farrington Avenue, and Pu'ukapele Avenue. And then again, because we're talking about agricultural water, the Moloka irrigation system connections will be installed if they don't. And then there's capacity for agricultural water for all of those 12 lots. So again, what am I specifically working on? Again, with Munakio Haraga is this draft EA. And so Dickinson, we had a chance to kind of explain that a little bit more to you earlier, right, about what that is. But again, as we're preparing that as part of this project, these are some of the agencies, both at the state, federal, and county level that we went to talk to already, right? So U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, DLNR, State DOT, State Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, the County Department of Water Supply, and the County Department of Environmental Management. But so right now we're preparing the draft final EA for this project. And what we anticipate there, what we're requesting from Hawaiian Homes Commission is going to be a finding of no significant impact of this project, right? And so
I wanted to say that their comments are also going to be included in the final EA,
exactly,
not just agency comments.
that's a great point. And so that's why it's really helpful to have everybody here, right? So you know some of those green cards. I don't know if you didn't have a chance to grab them, they're in the back. But share your questions, share your comments. It's going to be my job to make sure that I put it all together after this meeting as I'm preparing a summary. And so I'd really appreciate it if you did share your comments and your questions, because it won't just be us going to those agencies, as Nancy said. We're also going to include your comments and your questions as well. So I appreciate those that spoke up already. That's really helpful. And then again, the schedule for that, when do we plan to go to Hawaiian Homes Commission? That's what this next slide is going to address, right? So here's our timeline. This is what we're looking at, that first point there today. Today's an important date, right? Because we have this meeting, we're having a chance to talk about this project. And so what would come next, right, is we're looking to go to the Hawaiian Homes Commission so that they can review and request a determination on this document, that is preparing the draft final EA, right? And when is that? We're looking at January 2026. December 2025, January 2026. And then what will come after that is, again, we go to look to publish that final EA in the state environmental notice, right? And that timeline is looking at January, February 2026. And then looking ahead even further, what comes next after that is, we're looking at the construction plans and preparing those construction plans, which is ongoing. Just want to be clear about that it is ongoing. So I just want to, again, I'll leave the timeline slide up here for a second, because I think it's important to see all the information that we shared with you. But again, what's that going to look like next month? What's that going to look like early next year?
Hey, question.
Go ahead.
We always point out what is the benefit for homesteaders of these lots? And everybody look for homesteaders that see what is the beneficial of legal things, agriculture,
Sure. Do you want, and maybe this isn't the best slide to address that question, but can you go back for a second to the event? And that kind of shows this how it's divided, right? So just to understand, is your question, what's the benefit of doing for agriculture use for all of these lots? for the community?
Or one more from you.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I think as we're looking at it, right, I think it goes back to the DHHL mission, right, and what it is, and I don't know, Nancy or Robert, if you want to speak to that. Because again, I think it's a great question.
Thanks, Patrick. So just to clarify a little bit. So this is, these are the structures that are existing now. This one here and that one there, that's a greenhouse that's going to be removed. There is a house that was abandoned in 2012, I believe. I'm sorry, 2001. And so we have a consultant that's looking to see if that house is salvageable. You know, we anticipate that we're gonna have to remove the house, but before we do that, we have to make sure that, you know, you don't just get rid of something without assessing its value first. So we're looking into that. There was a 1 acre lot that's being carved out specifically for that house. I mean, it has pad, there's a cesspool that needs to be removed. But like Patrick was saying, and to address your question, sir, these are subsistence ag. And the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act allows lessees the option of building a single family house on these lots. And so Patrick talked about water, access to potable water and irrigation, farming water that is going to be available. And the lines are going to run on the main roads alongside these lots. So all you have to do is build a lateral, construct a lateral to access the water main. So the benefit is that you have an opportunity to put up a single family house if you choose to. Otherwise, it's subsistence ag. You can farm and supplement your sustenance.
But DHHL holding the lease for that. Or somebody will own that top and.
Yeah, it's going to be awarded. So there's going to be a lot selection based on, you know, the wait list.
Who was the family that owned it, what, that had?
Unfortunately, I don't go that far back. Just, as Nancy said, it's not awarded. It's unencumbered land.
Robert?
Yes.
Okay, when the last time the Moloka Island plan was updated was 2002 or 2005, I'm sorry. And at that time, the department was looking with the beneficiaries at lots in olehua that weren't being used, that could be subdivided and have smaller lots carved out. So if you look at the land use plan in the Moloka Island plan for olehua, it shows that. It shows these subsistence lots, these subsistence ag lots. What it is it's a way to take those larger lots that aren't being used for large scale agriculture and carve them out, you know, closer to the road kind, closer to infrastructure, so that we can award more ag lots on Molokai. They're smaller lots, yes, but we do have the adequate infrastructure. And so this chairman really wants to get people off the waiting list. And so this is one way to do it. It's called infill in planning jargon, but it's a way to, you know, take lots that aren't being used, that maybe, you know, there's an old house or whatever. Those things can attract bad stuff, you know, and so it's like kind of cleaning house. Yeah, it's cleaning that up and offering it to people on the waiting list. So, you know, it's not going to impact traffic, really. It's not going to do anything as far as the water supply. We're actually cleaning up cesspools, so that's helping with the wastewater situation. So it's kind of a win-win. It brings people back into Ho'olehua and hopefully creates more small-scale agriculture so people can feed their families, maybe have a little bit extra to share. And make a little money maybe at the farmer's market. So that's kind of where we're at with this project from a planning perspective.
Thank you, Nancy.
I have a comment. Adam did there. She gave it up because of medical reasons. In fact, it's one of our, that lot, help, Jackie, help. Because their lot and their house has been sitting for over 15 years. They're dead already, both of them,
Okay.
but their lot has been empty for 15 years. They lived in their house for about 5 years, their brand new house for 5 years. 15 years after that, the house has been empty all this time. Is that one of the, is that lot hers?
It's possible,
Yes.
because that house that I spoke of was built in 1996 and abandoned in 2001, so it's about 5 years, right?
And then it had a greenhouse, a big.
Yes, the greenhouse is to the right.
So that was a brand new house. I don't know why you guys didn't give it out in the first place.
Yeah, there's usually a process as our Homestead Services Division has to deal with
We're trying to get better at doing that.
yeah. Yes, sir.
So here is the subdivided.
Yes, there's 5 parcels and they're gonna be subdivided into the 12 that you see here.
So does this open the door for other homesteaders to subdivide their lots too? Or?
Is
it's only for this, does this open the gateway for other families to subdivide their?
Occasionally, we have requests within the subdivision for lessees who want to subdivide, you know, and share it with family. So,
There's no. Yeah,
Where that was from?
yeah, that was.
So it was brought to the commission's attention that, you know, it was not really, they weren't really able to forbid ag lessees from subdividing their lots, but I think it's evaluated on a case-by-case basis, and it's really gotta be, you know, all the costs are borne by the lessees. So, but you know, you just gotta come in and talk story if you're interested in doing something like that.
any more questions? We'll be around for a little while longer on this subdivision, but Pat, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Just real quick, again, thanks everybody. I just wanted to share our contact info, right? So you have Robert's contact info there, as well as mine and Carlin's. And then if you want to go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sure, the question was, right, for the larger lots. I'm sorry, Nancy, I couldn't hear you with the cars drove by.
And it's for, you know, like, how long, sometimes I'm worried that it's awarded and then there's delays and some of the people actually want, so. My understanding is if you have an ag lot, that you should be able to give the path and then start farming. Like pretty right away, like not a week, a year. Kind of wait through like how we had before for you to do. So I have a question again. Is that what I understand? You know, ag lot. That you're ready to give the time. Actually.
Yeah, I think Auntie's question regards, you know, how soon, once you get the lease, will you be required to start farming? And for the supplemental ag lots, I believe it's a year. You aren't required, I mean, subsistence ag rather, you're not required to build a home, however, but you can go farm. And then subsistence ag, I'm not as clear on that, but one thing I know that we're doing is we have an agricultural specialist in the planning office now, and her name is Lehua Abrigo. And so we're ramping up all of the agricultural support programs and services and all of that. And so I think the idea is there's gonna be a lot more support for ag, on islands like Molokai, where it wasn't, supported or a priority for a super long time, except for Uncle Glenn Tevis, but that's changing now. And so it's really kind of reviving the ag program. So I do believe that they're gonna be, trying to provide the support services so that people can start using their ag lots as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir.
The one that department is looking to put people on land as farmers. What is your outlook on ensuring the MIS water?
Yeah, we are consulting with one of our consultants to go and study and assess our chairman's desire to take over the MIS, Molokai irrigation system, from the Department of Ag, so that we can have control of the water and, distribute at a much greater speed and efficiency. So right now, we are working with a consultant to find out what it is exactly that we're taking upon ourselves. Yeah, and my understanding is it requires a lot of improvements because it's an old system. So, but our chairman really wants control over that so that we can really push agricultural activity on this island.
My recommendation would be work with the ole, have them help us really do some hiking that needs to be done.
For now, until such time as the department is able to resume control or assume control over that. Yeah, we're still trying to plan out whether it's doable at this point. But yeah.
My question was, yes, the fruits and ag, does it vary throughout the island chain? Because I know Kalaniana only has half an acre, the fruits and ag. And then over here we get 3 acres, which is nice, but in time, does it vary depending on the state? I mean,
It does, and it's really water is the big question, whether you have access. The good thing about the olehua scattered lots is we do have water. At least potable water, right? Yes, sir.
Yeah, water, great. You guys gonna start to show your meters on it, side?
That's a good question. I've heard rumblings about that. And yeah, Nancy, do you know anything about that?
Well, we also now have a water resource specialist, Cherie Ka'anana. And so she and Dr. Jonathan Schroyer are working very hard on figuring out how to get more water meters out to folks on Molokai. We, for all the lots that are eligible for water meters, we're 75 meters short right now. So we're trying to figure out, efficiencies in the system, stopping the leaks. David probably knows way more about that than I do. But, we are also going to have to look at trying to get more source because we know we have a big need. We know we need to issue more water meters. And we're not quite there yet, but I think we're making progress. But 10 years is a long time to wait for water.
what's the count for Molokai that's sitting on that list for that?
On the ag waiting list, I wanna say 1,000. Yeah, it's a lot. But we definitely want to support getting as many ag lots issued, and we know there's a lot of underutilized land or land lying fallow. But we don't want to, chop it all up. Nothing like that. That's not what's going to happen. It's very, very selective But again, we're gonna have to make sure we have enough potable water meters, and then we gotta support the MIS, figure out how to make that, be able to be extended to everybody who wants to have MIS water. Because it was originally intended to serve the entire Olehua homestead. And, folks in Kalamaula would still like to have access to MIS water. So, we're working on all of those things. But I really do think this administration, this chairman really wants to make things happen on Molokai. So we're all working really, really hard to try to move the needle, as they say.
I'm glad I brought her. Do you have any other questions? How are we doing on time?
We're pretty good.
We're good?
We're really good, actually.
Okay.
But we could take a break if no more questions.
Yeah, if there's no further questions at this time, we can take an early break. And then we'll stick around for a little while longer in case something comes up. Right, thank you, Patrick. And Carlin, there should let's.
Kalaniana ole. Yes, uncle.
Oh, yes, sir, in the back. Yes, so we are working with a consultant now to assess what it is, assess the system, and so that we can a break in the system.
The rates.
Okay.
So I just spoke with Lance Kaneakua, and they have support from Bozo Dudawa, who's trying to do the repair, and it's a weld. So it's not guaranteed that it's gonna hold, but we're praying that it does hold. The break has been ongoing since last week, Thursday. Right now, they've been trying to isolate within the system old valves. The one valve that was closest to the break is a 24-inch line. And it's a wheeled valve, wheeled handle valve. And there was only 2 people that was in there trying to exercise it. But DHHL does have a machine, a valve exerciser that can assist. But that type of valve that they had, we couldn't use a machine on it. So they had to be manually turned. A 16-inch valve using our valve exerciser. It was a total of 200 turns, 16-inch. The 24-inch that they were trying to turn off, they only turned it 75 turns. And that was manually for 2 days. So I'm not sure how or where or what valve that they shut down and who was affected by it, but I know homesteaders were affected by it. So at this point, that's the only news that I have for MIS from Lance Kaneakua, who's the manager for MIS on Moloka. So in reality, DHHL cannot take over the MIS system. Right now, DHHL only has 2 water operators with licenses that manages our water system. And it's like we're working for free, but we work for free because we love our people, because we drink that water. We want to make sure that it's safe and it's provided to our homesteaders. So I support Kali's idea, but we got to make improvements to that MIS system, and we need more workers. Yeah, it's just around the turn, right next to what was Oto's. Billy Otto, right by Manaba, right on that guardrail, on that stretch going up towards Mahana. Under the road, yeah, just on the shoulder of the road. They exposed it. I didn't go look after when they started to do the repairs, but I believe they started yesterday or today. Yeah. 24 inch. 24 inch, yes. DHHL has a 20-inch line, they have a 24-inch line. And the valves that they have is old. We don't use those type of valves anymore. Yeah, all the valves that we have a valve exerciser that does all the work for us. So right now, DHHL is in a good spot to manage our own water system with just 3 workers. Yeah, they have 3 workers also, but they don't have equipment. So the proposal would be for DHHL to support them in times of need like this, yeah. Yeah. Close that valve just to isolate that break. They couldn't close the valve. Yeah, so if they close that valve, that 24-inch valve, then everybody above, which would include all of us here, wouldn't have been affected. But they were closing all types of valves all over the system. Yeah, it's because of the maintenance. Yeah, it's exercising each valve, make sure they open and close when it's needed. So that's the challenge for Molokai. It's short staffed and trying to make do with what we have. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, yeah, it is. And there was, I don't know how much water was wasted, but it was a lot of water wasted. If you saw it, yeah, it was constantly flowing. It slowed it down a bit, but 24 hours constantly flowing. I don't know what is the level in the tank. I mean the reservoir at this point. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe Monday, 5 days. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of water. Yeah. Yeah. So they opened up blow so that it wouldn't continue eroding under the road to relieve pressure outside. Yeah. Last I talked to him around 4:30, he said he's just hoping and praying
Well,
that the repair is gonna hold. So hopefully maybe tomorrow, I don't know, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's not.
30 years ago, all of us home centers said we want an MIS, we want an MIS, 30 years ago. Now they're going to give it to us. Now that it's all broken and disrepair and will cost
Right.
millions of dollars.
millions.
And then now you guys are thinking about taking it, but it's almost irreplaceable. So I don't mind getting it back. We want it back. The thing is, make sure we get $1 billion with it
Right.
so that we can fix what has to be fixed. And during that time, 30 years ago, MIS was the only irrigation system irrigation throughout the state that was making money. Where did the money go?
Mhm.
You know, so, and now we're gonna get something that is broken.
Right.
And then we gotta take the money out of our own DHHL fund.
Well-
No, make sure we get that. I wanna also mention, I was on the MIS board years ago. Do you know that reservoir is not safe? That reservoir ever breaks, our whole wall area for a deep flooding.
Right.
That's.
No, I do know about that. So we're looking at hazard mitigation. We're gonna be doing a hazard mitigation plan for all of our lands. So that is definitely gonna get looked at. I think the other thing though is that, this is something that has to be negotiated at higher levels, right? I also think it's something that we should follow up on with a separate meeting to just talk about the MIS. So if you folks would like that, then I will support LDD in doing that, and we will schedule that probably or, early next year. I mean, once we've made some progress, we have some information. I'm not sure where we're at with that yet, but I would like us to get a break because we are gonna start talking about Kalaniana ole right at 6:30. So I want you to have a little bit of a break, health break, mental break, and then we'll come back and we'll start right at 6:30, okay? Okay, mahalo. Help yourself to snacks, please. They get plenty.
Just schedule another meeting. Robert?
Oh, we gotta get that. Services.
They get all.
Exactly what it's saying.
Now, 13 years. No, you just got it. You just want to.
I can see why. They're not making the fix.
They're small.
We have.
Let me.
So we have the greatest chance of reviving the system.
Let's see, let's do this. Okay, everybody, it's 6:30. We're gonna start again. Hello?
Aloha kako. We're gonna get started again, just so, because people gotta catch planes and all that kind of stuff. I'm staying, but, and then Kahi is gonna take over for the presentation on Kalaniana ole and Roy and Hal, right? Okay. Woo!
Hi, everyone. Lokahi Paula. I'm gonna hand it over to our consultant with Hawaiian Engineering, who's working on the existing hall to go over.
Thank you, Lokahi. Again, my name is Roy Ire from Hawaii Engineering Group. On behalf of Department of Hawaii Homeland Land Development Division and Planning Office, I want to thank you for being here today. I'm here to talk about the Kalaniana ole Hall. As you guys probably have been aware of, that it's been locked down for a time being. And this is the hall that is right across the street from us. The thing is that I kind of want to go back a little bit, talking about history, what had occurred with the hall in itself. The department has spent a lot of money repairing the structure several years ago. And once again, the building is in pretty much dilapidated due to termite infestation and deterioration of property. So we trying to look into several different options, what we can do to the hall. We looked at rebuilding the hall, looked at several different options, maybe doing some minor repairs. But there's so many different things that came into the play. Can you go into the next slide, please? When we looked into it, we consulted with the State Historic Preservation Division because we understand that, the department understands that this building here has a historical significance. So rather than going through the process of rebuilding the hall, because that involves the State Historic Preservation Division again, and also so many other environmental concerns. But rather than what we did was took the option of preserving the hall, keeping as a historical significant monument, and securing the building. And I'll explain the reason why we took that option. Because number 4, due to some environmental concerns. Next slide, please. The existing hall is currently sitting in a flood zone. The AE flood zone with a base flood elevation of 8 feet. Now, if we were to rebuild or some reconstruction to that building, we have to elevate the building 8 feet plus 1 feet. to keep that ball fields in. If we don't do that, the building will fall into non-compliance of the flood regulation, which is monitored by FEMA. And so what that means is that your insurance rate is gonna go up, possibly double what it is. The other thing that needs to happen is that we need to replace the septic system with the IWS system, because that building currently sits within below what they call the underground injection control system, or the septic system that sits right above the water table. So should there be any kind of leak or contaminate the water table? And third thing is safety because of a flood hazard. Next slide, please. And this is the climate committee had looked into the future of what could possibly happen. And they're talking about sea level rise in the future. I'm pretty sure you guys heard about that. And this has been put together by the federal interagencies like NOAA, and also USGS, and also the Corps of Engineers. And they came up with this mapping system, which the Maui County utilized to plan for the future. And this, the yellow map, the yellow color zone, or the potential impact of the 3.2 feet sea level rise. Next slide, please. And the third thing is that because the property sits in what the Maui County designate as a special management area, or SMA, there are so many conditions we gotta go through to prove or to show that the project will not impact the environment within the coastal zone areas. Next slide, please. And the fourth thing is a wetland mapper. The green color areas are the areas that is designated or controlled by the Fish and Wildlife. These are known as a wetland. And there's no structures can be done on those areas because they're regulated by Fish and Wildlife to protect the critical habitat and endangered species. Next slide, please. So yeah, before I go into that, so all those considerations was taken into the decision-making to possibly preserve the existing hall because of its significance to the community here. Because the cost to rebuild it will cost just as much as building a new property. And by looking for a new location, for the relocation of that hall, would save the department so much more time and money rather than having it there, which I'll hand over to Moloka.
Thank you, Roy. Yeah, so Roy covered all of that, and all the bad stuff about the existing hall. So now, hopefully we can try and plan a new hall that is state of the art and will fit the description of what the old Kalaniana ole hall was used for. So community meetings, and whatnot. But this parcel is the new proposed location we're looking at. It's situated right behind Church Road over here, on Like Ave. That lot is pretty ideal because it's 5 acres. There is an acre that is given ROE to Hawaiian Mission School towards the bottom portion. But if we develop this lot, we're looking at doing a parking to help with the churches below, as well as opening that hall up for community meetings like this one when that lot pops up. And again, all of what Roy had said with flood zones, SMA, and sea level rises, if we pull up the map, this lot is situated outside of all of those issues. So for future development, this would be a lot that can be available for centuries if the hall is built correctly.
We can go back and.
Yeah, we can go back and look kind of that bottom portions, the
that one's in the seal.
But okay, here we go. This would be the parcel. This is the bottom portion. That's the acre issued out by Hawaiian Mission School. That's ROE, but that top portion is kind of what we're looking at. You can go to the next one, Nancy, and then again, this is the lot. If everyone can see, again, outside of this SMA zone. Next one, Nancy. same thing outside of the wetland mapper. So we're able to do a lot with this lot and able to also benefit these churches underneath. The ideal, again, we're very pre-planning, but ideal would be kind of parking in between. So it can service the community hall up on the top portion as well as these guys on the bottom in the churches. But again, early planning stage, we're looking for additional funding. We have to go lobby for this money to go do this brand new hall if we want it. Right now, we want to preserve the existing hall. Again, like Roy was saying, the price to renovate that one and repair that one would be the same as if we were to build a state-of-the-art one up there in a safer situation for everyone to access. So that is the plan that we have ahead forward for this.
Thank
And that will bring us to questions. Mhm.
Guys, I'm listening to you folks, I'm gonna have to take this off, tell you the truth. The community, if you knew the history of the building, it was dilapidated, completely down. Community got together as a private nonprofit, so we could raise some money because Hawaiian Homes and the lessees or person who had a license, the organization, could not do what they needed. So it took us over close to $3 million. So when us as a nonprofit had finished with our license, I approached the department if they could open it up to a homestead association to manage it. Department tells me no. We gonna manage it. But from then to now, I forget how many years, they did not do a damn thing, but let it sit there and dilapidate. Shame on the department, because people need to know that. Because now you say you have bad stuff, that's one of the worst things that ever happened. And your facility manager, Rodney Lau, the late Rodney Lau, who retired and after 30 years with the department, I happened to have connected with him, took him and looked through the windows, looked at the book, and I said, all my bleaks about the department. And he was gracious enough in his retirement, actually, just before he died, he was going through treatments up in Washington, but he called me. He said, before I retired, I set aside $500,000 for the department to do the planning and do repairs that they need to be done. So I don't know if that $500,000 was encumbered, but according to his guy who took his place, Stuart Matsunaga, who also retired, said that the money is there. So I don't know if that's good for you, the Hawaiian thing. But I don't know how much the department spent. We had somebody volunteer to take care of the grounds, they turned off the water meter. And he was cleaning and maintaining the building. They locked him out, volunteer, won't sell it, because it means a lot to us. We folks know why that building was built in the first place. For benevolent service for homesteaders. Because we necessarily didn't have all the churches, and so when we had to have Port level, those that came before us built that special meaning, yes, we have we have SMA, also know that Hawaiian Homes, we can get exemptions, it behooves us, if you guys do not repair it and preserve it. I don't know how you're gonna move that building.
Oh, okay.
You can, I can understand. Moving the place and all these things about climate change and YouTube for the last 80 years. And how long will it take the department? How long will it take the department or whatever you guys do? You know what the department told me? Okay, it's bullshit. That's all new, that came in with the reconstruction that we have to do. Yeah, that's that, because there was no roof, there was practically no building. And people have gone before us, worked hard to raise those funds so that it could get renovated. But I know it's not your fault, not your fault, not your fault. There are some people that are still in the department that put out that neglect. Talk about waste money. Thank you, department. I just have to, that's it.
Well, I gotta do that. So many people here feel like that. It's your guys' job to start believing in people. The people get the answers. We gotta work together instead of working against each other. We need each other for the benefit of the future. No, they're not to be each other, they're not to upstairs.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we open this up so that, they can take the feedback and comment. Okay, which is, I understand your point, and so we're picking all the things.
That's your fault. I'm gonna add to that, most of our old timers passed away. But we used to have our meeting for about 2 months. And for Hawaiian Civic Club, with our homestead meeting, Royal Order, all of that was held in there. And so now it's like we all have to go different places to look for a place to meet. Right after they fixed it, we were all tired, we never had to, we couldn't go in. Then they fixed it, then it started going back in. But then it started thereafter, I guess they said, no, we cannot. So then we couldn't use it anymore. Which is full because it was really nice when we did. Yeah, I think we had one big huge community meeting in there. With DHHL, and then that's the only one I remember. They used to also have Hula in there. Community going practice Hula, so that was used a lot for this community.
Yeah.
And the things we hired.
Roy, do you want to
use this? Understands the meaning of it. And that's the reason why I always try to keep it. So probably your big house, trying to get, the patient, or in order to go through this process of trying to get the next page of renovation through, the planning process will take us 2 years. Not the planning internally, but the planning when we go through the SAA process. If before we can process, so, by just looking at the process that we're talking to, it's sort of takes some time.
I think to add on to kind of the comments you guys are mentioning, when the repairs that Roy talked about that happened a couple decades ago or maybe a decade ago, it was more like Band-Aid repair. They didn't really address every situation that possibly could. So I guess that kind of added on to all the wear and tear. It wasn't really a permanent fix that they were looking for at the time. It was just to see how we can get it back into action. And if we were to do that same thing again, I'm just afraid we're going to go back into that same cycle where, okay, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we're going to have to put another 5-10 million into this building if we don't just create a new state of the art when it's kind of over. And I understand all the time that it took. I wish that the department was more on it about being able to maintain their stuff. But I mean, that's what we're here now for. We're trying to work.
Well, we haven't been in there so many years. Can we go see if it really is falling apart?
I see the condition of
We have pictures that we could have shared, but I mean, I don't want to put that you guys.
We the termites got through it.
Yeah,
In the time it got fixed.
And someone fell through not fell through, but there's a.
the chair went through the floor and Kupuna was on the chair. No, I think the problem was we weren't doing ground treatment for termites. And then they just started eating up the posts again,
That's the problem was, the department was not maintaining.
Right.
It's not all of beneficiaries who use it.
Right.
And no access with one space took over and they reduced the basket on for us homesteaders to manage it or allow us to go for the license.
And that was not planning's recommendation, just to let you know. We supported the use of that hall because of its historic significance. Yeah. So I had a long talk with Kalani Rhonda, who's head of LDD, and I filled him in on all the history like you were talking about. And I think that's when they realized, okay, we got to do something. If we can't set the money, if we can't justify spending that much money to completely restore the hall, given its location, its vulnerable location, why don't we try to build a new hall higher up out of the danger zone, out of the coastal hazard area, and then preserve the old hall, you know? But that's why this is just a very beginning conversation. We're just at the beginning here.
Who's gonna be the one responsible for taking up movies?
Well, I know that the Kalama ole Hawaiian Homestead Association was, you know, interested in using the hall and is, you know, has the pavilion and all of that. So, I mean, that's who we would go to first, most likely.
So they can have, yeah, and then they can have.
If they want it.
I was just thinking it's a lot, you know, like we couldn't take care of that place will be more.
No, excuse me. Our association never had the opportunity to manage that. We never had. We wanted that responsibility. They never gave us that Kalaniana felt into the department. So that's why I wanted to have that clear. Our association wanted access and wanted to apply for the license. I think I understand you have to apply for the license, right?
Yeah, I think that was a previous chairman that, said, no, we're gonna deal with it, and then we didn't deal with it, so, yeah. You're right, shame on the department. Absolutely.
On the map behind here, like there's a lot. How much time is there behind this?
Yeah, I think that was where there is interest in doing a kupuna housing up there. I think it's, yeah. So they're still interested in doing that. I don't know the status of that project. I haven't heard anything about it lately, but I think there's some challenges up there. There's a lot of, there's some cultural sites and archaeological features, that sort of thing. No, not there. Oh, okay. They're gonna avoid that. All right. Good. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of Kuleana. But obviously we need to partner with our homesteaders and our homestead associations in order to take care of what we have.
I just want to share something. I'm very familiar with the business in town, and I looked for this year at Cloud. It's very significant because our story is about the real story from homestead is really about preschool. So we talk about preschool. That is the last building that exists. That preschool walk. Yeah, and of course the open activities were allowed. During the time at churches. There's a lot of churches, not all white churches that have little services, but they don't believe in having a part of the church. That was part of it. So when they had miracles, the celebration of life would be there. But in the old days, they would have paina. The paina, from there, you walk through the paina to Coconut Grove, where the association is. It was just like a community itself. Yeah, but whatever it is, but I really support about Princeton Hill, but we don't talk too much about Princeton Hill. All we know is what we heard. But our children, our generations need to find something that exists. Yeah, and so that is the last existence of Princeton Hill, where he walked those grounds. That's what he did. For me, he walked those grounds. We talk a lot about Princeton Hill, but there is no monument of Princeton Hill. Yeah, we need a monument for Princeton Hill. but I understand also the weather, the ocean and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's how I see it, we need it. We need historical sites. Because a lot of historical sites on the island of Moloka was taken away. We don't have very much. And we want to know about our heritage sites from our cultures, but it was taken away. So when we hear stories from our cultures, our forefathers, we listen to this, we listen to that, but really, was it true? We don't know. But this is a true trophy. I call it a trophy for Prince Kogyo. Yeah. I don't know what Moloka have that recognize Prince Kogyo as that company Hawaiian homesteads. It's the new homesteads. But Prince Kogyo didn't walk on the land, on the island. This refutes that Prince Kogyo was present on the island of Moloka. And Moloka, you have to know that Prince Kogyo, Moloka was his favorite island. This is where he hung out. If you wanted to come for the weekends, or if you were sick, you gotta learn the history. This is where he came. People don't understand about Hawaii commissioners. Hawaii commissioners, Hawaii state commissioners. Majority of part of the Hawaii commissioners came from this island. Came from this island. If you know the last name Pa, for many, many years. This is Kupuna. If you know the name Puwa, Kupuna. Yeah, I'm talking about that. For 3 generations away from the generation. When you talk about Kahino, that's like 3-4 generations. So I like to talk about that, but whatever the decision is, the decision is. All I'm saying, there is nothing for Prince Kogyo. All we're gonna do is talk about Prince Kogyo, what he gave us, the land, but we not, this is where he walked. Thank you for that.
Yeah, what's this bill?
Yeah.
It was built in 1870s, around there. That was during the time of R.W. Meyer, who was William Meyer. They came to Earth in 1850. A lot of the homes were there. The Prince William, I don't know if you tell me from Prince William home. Prince William's home was at the wall. Beautiful home. Very silent. It was because it was there from Germany. They were with Germany, so they had a different style of building. But it's really for you to what? Because what it is I was away 50 years and I only learned my culture and my history. It was not important to me. I said, I graduated, I'm out of here, and I ain't coming back. Well, you know what? I came back then, back for 4 years, and I've learned a lot of things, lots of things. So I want you to just recognize what everybody shared. I understand the ocean, you know, the beauty of the ocean. Yeah, because we can all talk. The part is, we can plan, we can budget. You know, you're not really telling me what is the budget. You're only telling me, I know the plan, the budget plan must be expensive, but when time to implement, that's the story we're gonna talk about. Is when we implement, we know you're gonna do all the planning, you're gonna fix all the infrastructure and whatnot. But when time to implement the building, yeah. What's the cost? Are we gonna wait for another 8 years and more PPE, which means more expensive, right? Because I'm glad you guys speak, because now you guys have hyped up the issues. Yeah, I'm hyped up with the issue, but I'm gonna wait that long. I'm 73 years old. I just gave home lately. And I want to see this up because I really do. But whatever it takes, it takes. Whatever the consensus are, the consensus are.
So it was, excuse me, it's built 1936.
Yes, actually, when I was, the planner for County of Maui and I worked with Stan Solamillo, the cultural, resources planner for County of Maui. He was very, very interested in Kalaniana ole.
and he looked up some old newspaper articles. So we do have old articles from the Maui newspaper about all the events that happened, how the hall was built with the volunteer labor of the homesteaders of Kalaniana. They donated money, here they were trying to settle and build their homes, but they also donated money, and it was the benevolent societies, very, very important role. But they organized all of this and they donated the money for the materials, because this came up under Joby's administration, because what I said was, well, it belongs to Kalaniana because they built it, and it was licensed to the Ahahui at the time, and then things didn't work out. But the important thing is that that was created by the Kalaniana homesteaders, and they had a big celebration, they had a parade, they did all kinds of things. And so we have those newspaper articles. What I'd like to suggest that we do with this project is take some oral histories, interview the kupuna that we still have, who have memories of this hall, and just take, over the next year or so, document and get as much information as we can about the hall. And I think we're listening to your idea of something to honor the prince, because when we did our Kalaniana, or when you folks did the celebration of 100 years of Kalaniana, that was the procession that came from here, and it went across the street, and it went to Kalaniana ole Hall. And they were carrying pictures of the prince, and so we want to honor all of that. I've learned a lot just learning about the hall, but there's so much more information that we need to gather. So I'm hoping you folks are willing to help us do that, so that we can do right by the hall. Maybe there's, a third way. But I do think the idea of having another facility, because we're always hearing, hey, not enough places to meet, and now I'm hearing that the societies need a place to meet. And so, if that area would be good for that, let's work together to try to figure out how to get money from the legislature to fund it, all that sort of thing. But I think it's gotta be, it was originally a Kalaniana project, and we got to keep working together to find the best solution. So I would like to do that with you folks.
Nancy, I have one comment, and it has to do with, I'm writing down my note.
Okay.
Because we're in a situation, and we've been always bringing it up, and that subdividing, I'm not against it. What I'm thinking is that when you subdivide it in smaller parcels, you may have a person that is going to do ag, and then you may have a person that's not going to do any ag, just building their home. And we have been living that pretty much nightmare since they did that in Olehua, where we live. And where we live, we've got ag, which we're doing, and right across the street, they put all this residential subdivision right in front of us. So when we spray, or we burn, or we do anything, it affects the residential people. So when you do this, you gotta make sure you have ag people, that you all know what's going on with ag. We have permit to burn.
Right.
We have every kind of crop we can think of on our acreage. So we are farming.
Right.
Problem is the one across the street that have families, and they have to now endure what we are going to just to protect and farm our land. I just want to think about that when you guys start
going. The thing about the subsistence ag is they're required to farm, they're not required to build a house. So subsistence ag, I believe on the lease, it's going to say, or you know, we can try to make sure, especially for Molokai, that there's language on the lease that says, you know, you may be subject to impacts from agricultural operations in your area. So you need to be okay with that. When they sign that lease, then they're agreeing to that. They're saying, yeah, we're okay. We're not going to complain, you know, about the burning or whatever, but that's on an ag lot. I hear what you're saying though about building those residential homesteads so close, but these are going to be subsistence ag and supplemental ag. They're not going to be residential.
But did you say that they can put a house on there?
Yeah, they can build a house, but they're not required to, but they are required to farm. So they are accepting an agricultural lease.
So it'll be ag and.
Yeah.
So a fast little recap. Not too long. What we need to do, put these products on hold. Where they're gonna be showing up, and dumps it off and basically leave this up on until we start working on the.
Yeah, but the idea is to stabilize this structure, put a perimeter fence around it, and then we'll move on and we'll keep engaging with you folks as this planning process moves forward. Oh, that was a really good suggestion. Kalaniana ole was a consortium of KSPE, QLT, and others. And that's how this center, this multi-purpose center got built. So why don't we look at that as a model for this? Okay, mahalo.
Can I request update the next time? I would be interested in knowing what's happening with Moloka. Because use their own money here. And bring some substantial information so that you know what's going to be happening. What else was there? Then the geothermal and Montana water, and also the.
So you'd like an update before the April Hawaiian Homes Commission meeting?
Well, are that going to be discussed?
We can make sure that that is discussed at the April Hawaiian Homes Commission meeting. I will make sure that happens. Okay, mahalo. Well, mahalo, everybody. If you don't have any more questions, we can be paused. Anybody else? Okay, mahalo. All right. Thanks, everybody. Mahalo. Drive safe. Blessings on your way home. Watch out for the deer. Okay, good night. And take some snacks with you, please.
Aloha.
Thank you.